lot more to come.
Yeah, because we haven't touched Amitabh at all, right? And there are many more Jodis to come, so please, yes.
It's been just phenomenal being here. I just got back from India trip and we were in Delhi in January and it was an experience. So we arrived in Delhi and we head straight to our 4-star hotel and all its luxuries. And all we do is complain on how cold it is and how the fog's rolled in and how terrible the air is. You know, the air quality index is 1 to 500. And today it's 33, pretty damn good. You are breathing great air. And when the California fires happened, the air quality index went around 200, 250. In Delhi, that day, it was 381. Oh my God. That was terrible. The air was terrible. The next day we drive just short distance, 15 kilometers, and we are no longer in the posh Saket hotel of ours. We are in the floodplains of Yamuna River. There are lush vegetable fields you can see as far as you can see, and there are cow sheds and huts. And if you heard, these are floodplains of Yamuna River, which means that every couple of years, these farms will flood. And the migrant farmers who come here and they have leased these lands to grow these vegetables will lose their radishes and mustards and, gourds and their belongings every couple of years. There is no electricity. There is no water except well water for drinking. And there is no infrastructure. Do you think that the government cares? Does the government care? The government does not care. And that's where Project Y comes in. Project Y is an NGO based off in Delhi, founded by Anuradha Bakshi, who believes that education is the cornerstone of societal transformation. That education is the cornerstone of societal transformation. So in 2005, she rented an entire cow shed. We shooed the cows away, brought the kids in, got a teacher, and started teaching these children. And the AQI was probably 380, and it was cold and wet, and the kids sat on the ground, and they studied hard. When the floods came and wiped away that cow shed, the kids went back to work and cleaned it up and set it up and went back to studying again. Thousands of children have studied there. Now, before I talk about stories about these children, my well-meaning, kind-hearted audience is enjoying this program, but also I think wants to know a little bit about behind the organization which is putting together this program and algorithms which give their time, resources, money to come and do this. You might be interested to know, isn't it? Isn't it? Right? So that's what. This Project Y, there is no way on God's green earth you would have known that an organization like this is working on another end of the planet quietly with little resources, changing the lives of hundreds and thousands of kids. You would not have known. Except for Asha for education, we identify, we support, we nurture incredible, impactful, secular, grassroots organizations across India who are advancing access to education. And you heard our dear Kavita and Deepa talk about 4 more organizations. And there are 25 such NGOs which Seattle's chapter supports. We are the largest chapter in terms of fundraising and the largest number of organizations we are able to support due to the kind-heartedness and generosity of the people who are present in this room. Now back to the Yamuna River and the incredible stories you would like to know, isn't it? So many people we spoke to. Pradeep was there, my husband sitting right behind me and recording me, and my older son, and we were listening to one story after another. For example, Sangeeta, she came to school when she was 9 years old. First time in her life she saw a book. Fell in love with books, hasn't stopped studying since then. And we met her, she's in 10th grade and wants to be a fashion designer. We met Sonia, who is a single mom of two young girls, 7 years and 11 years. She lost her husband to COVID. She travels 2 hours each way, 4 hours in total in public transport to come and teach in a cow shed. Why? I asked her why. And she says, because I was the first person in my family to get educated. Life has been super hard for me, but it is education which has given me dignity and respect to live. And that's what I want to bring for other kids. And she's not the only one. You will be surprised to hear that 90% of the teachers, there are 45 teachers in the 5 centers of Project Y, 90% of the teachers are alumni of this school. They have come back to give what they have received because they don't think there is a cause greater than this. The next day, we traveled mere 10 kilometers on this side, and we are no longer in the floodplains of Yamuna River. We are no longer in the posh area of Saket. Many of you know Delhi. You know Delhi? Right? We are in the thick, dense industrial slums of Okhla. As I walk out and walk into the slums, the scene from Slumdog Millionaire? Remember that movie? Remember it? Right? The kids are running around, the poor kids, abject poverty. Except there is no Jamal Malik here who is going to win a lottery and get suddenly rich. This is the fate of these kids. This is their reality. They are growing up and they are growing too fast. They're migrant workers again. They have very little infrastructure. The government school is very far. These parents have no time. They've come from another part of the country to make ends meet. So even the few who get their kids admitted in these government schools, those kids are back on the street within 4 days. They're back, right? There's one such worker whose name is Sophia. She has moved with her husband, newly married, moved to this place to make a living. And she sees these kids running around. She sees them steal from the goods train that stops in Okhla due to a signal. And she also knows that they are being used as drug mules for the local mafia. So she goes to Anu and she says, and she's heard about Anu Bakshi. She goes to her and she says, would you start a school here? And Anu, with a name like that, could she say no? No? She said, of course. She said yes. And she said she got the teacher. She said, okay. She brought a teacher and Sophia went on to clean a small area in the slums, put 4 bamboo poles, put a tarp on top, and they brought the kids and the kids, they started. Next day when they come back, the school's gutted to the ground. There are broken alcohol bottles everywhere. And they clean it up and put it back again, and the next day it's gutted to ground again. And again, and again, and again. They find out that the local mafia Ayya is behind this. He says that if you build a school here, I'll kill you, Anu. Anu wants to meet with him. So she meets with him and she says, हम तो भाई स्कूल चलाना चाहते हो, हमने सुना है तुम मुझे मारना चाहते हो. And as they start talking, Aya's anger turns into sadness. He says, where were you 20 years ago? If you were here, I wouldn't be this. Where were you? And she says that you can still become something. I will help you. You can gain the skills. You still have a chance. And he says, ma'am, mera to ho gaya. I am used to easy money. But I'll make sure that nobody messes with these kids and nobody messes with this school. "21 years later, we walk into that place, that bamboo sticks, and the tarp is now a concrete structure. There are 400 kids who are attending school there. I speak with Sophia ji, who cleaned up every single day to set the school back up. She is still there, coming every single day. She is teaching 7th and 8th grades. She tells me that the first 5 years, their challenge was to convince kids that education is the right thing for them, then to take them to the government school and get them admitted there and make this school as a support. So now they are the emotional, academic, psychological, social support for these children. They finish school, they go to college. There are kids who are pursuing their PhD degree as a result. We meet and talk to many kids, and I won't be able to cover a lot of stories here. But one of the kids we speak to is Amarjeet. And Amarjeet is a 10th grader, and I ask him, Amarjeet, what do you want to be? And he says, I want to be a travel guide. And I'm like, travel guide? It could be anything. Why do you want to be a travel guide? And he says, so that I can bring people like you to come and see that kids in slums have aspirations and what we can do when organizations like this can support us. Those are just 2 of the 5 centers. There are 3 other centers of Project Wire which are doing phenomenal work. None of this is possible without your help. None of this is possible. And everything becomes possible. Nothing is impossible with your help. So that is what we are requesting you today, that when you give, your money reaches corners where education is currently not accessible. That we help it reach those corners. You'll get next Sangeeta her book at the age of 9, and she'll never stop reading. And she can become whatever she wants to be. You will get next Aya, get him to school before he gets to the drugs. You'll get Sophia. Her passion will go on till she has school in the slum when she recognizes there is need for one. And that's where you come in. And that's not all, because you remember 90% of these kids who are the teachers are the alumni. You can ensure that they are making living in giving. You perpetuate this cycle of giving. You became educational evangelists. So my request today is that every dollar you're giving, remembering that it's giving wings to the hopes, aspirations, and dreams of these children. Wings to the hopes, aspirations, and dreams of these children. Together, we reach corners where it's inaccessible. There's no dream too big, no amount too small to make a world where education and dignity becomes every child's birthright. Every child's birthright. Will you join us? join us. Please join us. So, we will be breaking for dinner. There are pledge cards on your tables. There is also the volunteers who will be there, and we have Square on a few of us have on our phones. So we will be able to take whatever you choose to give today, whatever. Because I have seen this firsthand. Pradeep, I and Ranjan visited 2 of them. Every time we go, we visit. And I request, that's another thing you can do. When you make a trip to India, ask us and we'll help arrange a visit for you so that you can start seeing how your giving is impacting what's happening in that part of the world. Thank you.